All right, continuing down the path here of best worst case scenarios in the NFC South, we'll go to the reigning and defending division champions, the New Orleans Saints, who obviously fell in Drew Brees' last game in the playoffs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the second round. The New Orleans Saints, obviously, they have one big question mark, and that's who's going to be your quarterback.
They have more than one.
They do have more than one. But the main question, and the thing that I think hinges this whole best or worst argument, is what decision gets made at the quarterback position. Best case scenario, Jameis Winston is back. His eyes are fixed. The LASIK worked. And Sean Payton has fixed all of his turnover problems.
It's almost like you saw this before the show. LASIK works, Jameis does too. That's best case scenario for the Saints.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if they do that, I think they can end up being an 11, 12-win team. Just because they've got a lot of good pieces on this team still. They still have one of the best, if not the best, offensive line in all of football.
Yes.
You got Alvin Kamara, you got Michael Thomas. Look, I get that Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway are not you're not real jazzed up about that being your 2 and 3 options in the passing game, but I honestly think it's fine. I mean, we saw Jameis Winston ball out with Brashad Perriman, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
As long as he can cut down on the turnovers, I don't really care all that much who his wide receivers are, as long as he's got that one. As long as he's got that one safety blanket to lean on. And, I haven't even mentioned Adam Troutman.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, fantasy football players, y'all need to be on that Adam Troutman train, because he's getting left out in a lot of drafts.
Yeah, you're drafting with dumbasses, because I haven't seen him go past the 11th round yet.
Past the 11th round?
I haven't seen him fall past the 11th round yet.
Tank was just talking about how someone dropped him in one of the leagues he was in the other day. And I was like,
you need to stop playing with stupid people. Yeah. See, this is why I don't ever put any stock. You can go to Yahoo or ESPN or whatever, it shows your history as a fantasy football player. There's a reason I don't put any stock into that shit. Because he's playing with apparently a group of people that he met at an AA meeting or at an elementary school or some shit. And now me, on the other hand, I only play the best of the best. Steel sharpens steel. So that's all I'm saying.
Come at the king. You better have your army.
You best not miss.
That's right. I just he's one of the guys that I don't think is getting enough love in fantasy drafts. But you've got all of these offensive weapons. You've got the offensive line. I think the offense is fine. The other part of this is where the defense comes into play. And, best case scenario for your defense is, you're going to have to have.
Davenport's going to have to play.
Thank you.
Way
That's
better.
The name I was searching for.
And Lattimore's going to have to play a lot better than he did last year, because he was not the same player he was the year before. The thing with Jameis is, I think if anybody can kind of fix Jameis, it would be Sean Payton.
No doubt.
I think he's one of the better coaches that we have in this league, especially helping quarterbacks out. If Jameis can cut down, let's just say he cut down half of the turnovers. Let's just say he had the same kind of year he had a couple years ago. If half of those turnovers are taken away, this team can be good. I just don't know if Jameis is ever going to be that player. I just think it's going to be either all in or all out kind of thing with him. He's going to get 4 touchdowns but throw 4 interceptions. And it just doesn't lead. I don't ever think he's going to be anybody different other than that.
I think just being in the Sean Payton system is going to help him more.
Did it help him? All right. Now, I would equate Jimbo Fisher to Sean Payton of the college game.
Okay.
Jimbo Fisher's an innovative offensive guy.
Okay.
Jameis still had games where he was,
Yeah.
turnover. I'm trying to think how I want to say this. It's not so much that he turned the ball over so much. It was that there were so many opportunities to turn the ball over.
Yeah.
That's what happened to him in Tampa. Is that last year, I want to say he had 69 turnover caliber plays.
Yeah.
And he had like 36 turnovers.
Yeah.
Like there's some luck involved in that.
Yeah.
But you're never going to take the gamble out of Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
There's not. It's not going to happen. I've watched him since he was 18 years old.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it's more of a less risk it, no biscuit.
Yeah.
No risk it, no biscuit kind of a thing with Sean Payton. He's not going to ask him to take as many shots down the field.
It's not what you ask him to do. He's going to do it.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston thinks he has the biggest dick in every room he's ever walked into. I've met the man. Trust me, I know him pretty damn well.
Okay.
His jersey is hanging up behind my head.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of like Willie Beeman from Any
And
Given
I like
Sunday.
the guy. I've always liked Jameis Winston. You know,
Yeah.
some very questionable off the field things, but in terms of as a guy, he's very likable.
Yeah.
This is my problem. My problem is that I think it's the old Jay Cutler rule. If you can do it, you will do it.
Yeah.
And Jameis has a top 10 to 12 arm
His
in the
arm
NFL.
is great. Yes.
You're not going to get that guy to just throw dump offs.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Especially not when you look at the receiving core.
Yeah.
They have a lot of guys that their claim to fame is I'm real effing fast.
Yeah.
Whether it's Traquan Smith, whether it's Marquez Callaway, LaJordan Humphrey, there's a lot of guys that are going to be asked to do things on this team. That the reason they're in the NFL is because they're very, very fast.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things that people aren't taking into consideration so far this year with the Saints is that they lost a lot of depth with the salary cap hell that they are in. They lost a lot of depth. We were going over, I think we named off 5 starters just off the top of our head in less than a minute from last year's team. That's going to take a toll on a team, especially if injuries come into play, anything like that. When you lose depth because of salary cap, you can't afford any injuries. And I just think that those things can come into play. But this team, for me, honestly, the Saints are one of those teams that I look at that can either be 5-12 or can make the playoffs somehow. They're one of the best teams in that I look at it that way.
It is best case scenario, so I will say there's a path that they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Where I think they're going to get into trouble. The defense is now really thin. They took, look, I've said the Peyton Turner thing till I'm blue in the face. I like the kid. You took him too high. Yeah, you're gonna, and my fear is that they're gonna ask him to slide into the Marcus Davenport role. Davenport's gonna be expected to be Trey Hendrickson, and Peyton Turner's gonna be asked to, so you've miscast 2 players here.
Right.
At the end of the day, you've miscast 2 players. I don't like the interior of this line that well. I think teams are gonna run all over them. You can't treat the salary cap like a jump rope and not expect for it to tangle your feet up.
Yeah.
And that's where I think they are. You know, everybody talks about Jameis and all this other shit. Look at that defense like really, really hard and realize how good do a lot of guys have to be for this defense to even be serviceable. How much better do they have to be than what you've seen them be to even be a middle-of-the-pack defense? Because let's be honest, Marshawn Lattimore was not particularly good last year.
No, he was not.
He hasn't been rookie year Marshawn Lattimore since he was rookie year Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to caution people with the Saints. I've been told a bunch of times I'm lower on them than I should be. I'm sleeping on the Saints. No, I think you're overvaluing them.
Yeah.
I mean, best case scenario to me for this team is probably 10-7.
10-7, sneaking the playoffs. Yep. I'm right there with you on that.
Yep, I would agree with that as well.
But then,
if things go badly,
Worst
they could
case
be
scenario.
really, really bad. And I think that all starts with the quarterback situation as well. Because if Taysom Hill ends up being the choice at quarterback, I don't like your chances regardless of who's healthy and who's not.
again, it's almost like you're looking at my screen before I put these things up. Worst case scenario for the Saints, Taysom wins, and they don't. I don't like Taysom Hill. David Evans Olsen said something in the comments of, he's watched Taysom Hill play for quite some time. I have too. Not as long as Olsen has. I think Olsen's known him, I believe, since high school. If you ever want an authority on Utah-based quarterbacks, David Evans Olsen. He has told me things about Zach Wilson that I think nobody short of a family member can know, which I greatly appreciate.
Yeah.
I don't look at my problem with Taysom Hill is that with no weapons over the top, you almost turn into like an RPO eccentric offense. I think that hurts Kamara. I think it hurts Michael Thomas. I think Taysom Hill would hurt Michael Thomas. By the way, if there's a player in fantasy football that is being drafted comically low, it's Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
I saw him go in the 5th round of the draft the other day and about peed my pants.
Like a normal PPR?
Yeah.
Oh,
and guess who he went to?
You.
This guy.
Should have gone to you in the 4th round.
No, because I took Josh Jacobs in the 4th round.
Oh, nice.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I want to be in those drafts.
You can be. They're mock drafts.
Oh,
My
God.
leagues don't draft that way. I have to do mock drafts, so I feel good about myself for a while.
Right.
Right.
But that's the path of not righteousness for New Orleans is you wind up trying to run this with Taysom Hill, and it doesn't go well.
And your defense is a sieve.
And I think the defense is going to be bad one way or the other. I mean, I really do. Look at how much talent they lost from last year.
Right.
Other than Trey Hendrickson, who did they lose on that defense?
Quan Alexander.
Yeah.
Janoris Jenkins.
He wasn't that good anyway.
It's markedly better than Chase Hansen.
Well, no, there's no doubt about that.
Not sure he's not better than Chris Hansen.
I still believe in Cameron Jordan. They've got young pieces on the defense. I mean, like Zach Bond was a guy that was highly looked at coming in last year from Wisconsin, and
Not by me.
he could develop into something. They got Peyton Turner, obviously, drafting Pete Werner, who's going to be a usable piece.
Here's how I would. Anybody that says I'm too low on New Orleans, here's how I would argue this. How many defenses in the NFL were better than the Saints last year?
There wasn't very many, right?
I don't know.
3, yeah. They were the
were
top
fourth.
top 5.
They had
Yeah.
the 4th best defense in the NFL total yards per game last year.
Total yards per game.
Give me a percentage chance they duplicate that.
20.
25.
I'd give it 2.
Oh, wow.
I think you forgot a fucking decimal point.
Yeah.
Because there's no shot at them. I can name 6 better defenses than them off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shot they duplicate that.
Yeah.
So you're going to have lesser quarterback play. You're going to have less of a defense
Yeah.
and more of a reliance on the run game.
Yeah.
You tell me how that's going to work.
Right.
You tell me how you're going to be as good as you were with the 3 things I just said.
The Saints apologists will look to Taysom Hill going 3-1 last year, or Teddy Bridgewater going undefeated a couple years ago, and they will say it's not. You know what I mean? There's a path to them be that. I think that's what the Saints fans are look at it and say we can win without Brees. They're not taking into consideration what Jeremy just said. Not only that, but the depth pieces that they had. Not only that, but remember, Drew Brees could keep the chains moving. You know what I mean?
And he was one of the smartest quarterbacks.
He was the most accurate quarterback we've probably ever seen, and he could keep chains moving, which was very helpful for the defense. Whether they scored or not, they were on the field for a while.
Here's the thing. Drew Brees made a career out of not making the catastrophic decision. Unfortunately, it happened to him a few times in the playoffs, which is why he has kind of a reputation of being a chokes in the playoffs kind of guy. He made a career out of not doing that in the regular season.
Right. And that's a lot about what Jameis, that's about the thing with his turnovers too, is there were so many, but a lot of them were at the worst possible times. They were at when you're making that drive, or, you're trying to make a comeback and you're almost there, and then you throw in an interception in the end zone. There's things like that you're not going to get when you have a Drew Brees at your quarterback. And I just think that the Saints fans just look at all this stuff and they say, oh, we can still win, and they're looking through rose-colored glasses.
Of course. I mean, you don't want you want to come in and hope that the next step is not a complete drop-off. They've been a 12-win team, at least a 12-win team for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So they're hoping that Sean Payton is going to be able to make the right decisions, keep them on the right path. I don't think that they're looking at how difficult their schedule is.
Yeah.
Because it's brutal. I mean, they start out with Green Bay. They've got the Washington football team, Seattle, Tennessee, Buffalo, Dallas, Tampa Bay twice. They've got a rough road to hoe.
Val Moose, first of all, a name I haven't seen before.
Yeah, welcome in, man.
Moose. Said, not to mention Carolina's bringing like 10 first-round picks on defense, and you got Tampa in the same division. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Carolina's the team that's up next, and I have I have a lot to say about their defense. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So the outlook to me on New Orleans is bleak.
Best case scenario, we think they could end up in the playoffs, just
10 and
back
7,
back into the playoffs. Worst case scenario,
4-13.
Yeah.
I was going to say 5-12,
Yeah.
but
I'm about right there. 5-12, I think, is where I would be.
I think people that and people are entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
I think if you believe they're going to be if you think the floor is higher than that or the ceiling is higher than that, I think you're undervaluing how thin this team is.
Yep.
100%.
The receiving core is terrible.
It's real bad.
Yep. But again, to me, everything hinges on that quarterback decision. I trust Sean Payton's going to make the right move, and it's Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is the right call. But you say there's dual roles. Taysom Hill will have a role.
Taysom Hill will have a role.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no doubt. He had a role with Drew Brees.
Yeah,
You can't tell me he's not going to have a role.
exactly.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Support for the Sportsocracy is brought to you by our good friends at Manscaped. They are the world champs of men's below-the-waist grooming. They have these precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. And, of course, you can get right now at manscaped.com the Lawnmower 4.0, their fourth-generation trimmer. It's shaving with a sleek, well-designed, optimized trimmer that makes the shaving time the best time in the bathroom. It's also, keeps you from using the same razor on your undercarriage that you use on your face, because nobody wants to end up, crossing hairs. It's not a good
Never
idea.
cross the streams.
Don't want to be called old nut chin.
Yeah.
Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, like I do, like he does, with this exclusive offer. Use our promo code Sportsocracy at manscaped.com today and get 20% off of your total purchase and get free worldwide shipping. Trust me, your balls will thank you.
Get you a trial pack for your apple sack.
Always make the right calls when it comes to your balls.
Right.
Your balls will thank you.
Don't forget, Sportsocracy is the promo code at manscaped.com. Save 20% off today, your total purchase, and get free worldwide shipping.
Because you don't want your balls to look like this.
Ah!
Ah!